Most men think being honest with women builds trust. But here's the brutal truth. There are 5 things that if you tell her, even once, she'll never see you the same way again. I'm not talking about lying, I'm talking about protecting your value. And right now, you're probably giving away secrets that are quietly tanking her attraction without you even realizing it. So if you've ever wondered why a woman who seemed into you suddenly went cold, or why she says you're too nice even though you did everything right, this video will answer that. By the end, you'll know exactly which truths to keep to yourself and why silence is the most powerful thing you can give her. But here's the thing, what I'm about to share goes against everything you've been taught. The modern world tells you to open up, be vulnerable, share everything. And look, I'm not saying you should be emotionless. I'm saying you need to be strategic. Because the men who understand this, they're the ones women chase. The ones who don't, they're the ones sitting at home wondering what went wrong. So subscribe right now if you're ready for the truth. Not the comfortable version, the real one. Let's get into it. Secret number 1. Never reveal your deepest insecurities. And I know what you're thinking, but I thought women wanted us to be vulnerable? Listen carefully. There's a massive difference between healthy vulnerability and emotional dumping, and most men can't tell the difference. Here's what happens. You meet a woman, things are going well, she seems interested, then one night, maybe after a few drinks, you start opening up. You tell her about your fears, how you're scared you're not good enough, how you worry about money, how you doubt yourself constantly. And in that moment, she nods. She says she understands. She might even hug you. But something shifts, something you can't quite see, but you can feel. And over the next weeks, her attraction starts to fade. She becomes distant, less enthusiastic, and you're left confused because you thought honesty was supposed to bring you closer. So what happened? Look, many people, regardless of gender, are drawn to partners who demonstrate emotional stability and confidence. That's human psychology. When you're constantly exposing your weaknesses, your fears, your insecurities, you're essentially communicating, I'm not stable, I can't handle pressure. And her feelings, they respond to what you demonstrate, not just what you intend. Now, here's where most men get this wrong. They think strength means never having fear. That's ridiculous. Every man feels fear. Every successful person doubts themselves. The difference is this. Strong men process their fears constructively. They write in journals. They talk to mentors. They work through it with a counselor or trusted friends. But they don't unload it on the woman they're trying to build with. Think about the great leaders throughout history. You think they never felt overwhelmed? Of course they did. But they understood something crucial. Your private struggles should be worked out privately first. The world, including the woman you're with, benefits most from seeing your courage and resilience, not your unprocessed chaos. And here's the kicker. When you master yourself in silence, when you process your fears without making them her burden, you actually become more attractive. Why? Because she sees a man who can handle pressure, a man who doesn't crumble, a man she can trust when life gets hard. So here's your takeaway. Strength isn't about having no fear. It's about who you choose to share that fear with and when. Process it first, then share the wisdom you gained. Got it? Good. But wait, you might be thinking, doesn't that mean I can never be real with her? No. It means you need to understand timing and context. You can share your struggles after you've already worked through them. You can say, I went through something difficult last year, and here's what I learned. That's powerful. That's attractive, because you're sharing wisdom, not wounds. What tanks attraction is real-time emotional chaos. It's saying, I don't know if I can do this, when she needs you to be grounded. It's breaking down every time life gets hard. That's not intimacy, that's dependency. And most people don't desire dependent partners. Here's a question I want you to sit with. Do you want relief in this moment, or do you want respect for a lifetime? Because one careless confession can permanently change how she sees you. And brother, once that shift happens, it's almost impossible to reverse. Now let's move to secret number 2. Never disclose your full romantic history. And this trips up even smart men. Here's how it usually goes. You're getting close to a woman. Things are progressing. Then one night she asks, so how many women have you been with? Or tell me about your past relationships. and you think, she's asking because she wants to know me better. I should be honest. Wrong. Dead wrong. Look, when a woman asks about your past, she's often not just looking for information, she's testing your frame. She wants to see if you'll fold under pressure, if you need her approval, if you're secure enough to maintain some mystery. And the moment you give her a detailed answer, high number or low number, you risk creating unnecessary doubt. If you say it's a high number, she might judge you. Even if she laughs it off, even if she acts cool about it, a part of her mind might file you as player. Can't commit, probably still thinking about other women. If you say it's a low number, she might question your experience, your confidence with women. Either way, you risk losing. So what do you do instead? You redirect. You maintain frame. You say something like, enough to know what I want, and wise enough to know what I won't settle for. That answer gives her nothing to create doubt with while keeping her intrigued. It shows confidence. It shows you're not here to justify yourself. It shows you understand that mystery is part of attraction. And here's the thing, this isn't manipulation. This is wisdom. Smart men throughout history understood this. They let their presence speak louder than their past. They knew that what you've done before doesn't define what you bring to the table now. Think about it this way. Does telling her your exact number change how you treat her today? No. Does it make her trust you more? No. In fact, it often only gives her mind more material to create doubts, insecurities, and comparisons. So here's your principle. Your romantic history is your business. What matters is how you show up for her right now, your consistency, your integrity, your strength in the present moment. And listen, if she pushes back, if she says, why won't you tell me? What are you hiding? That's another test. Don't get defensive. Don't fold. Just calmly say, I'm not hiding anything. I just don't think numbers matter. What matters is that I'm choosing you right now. Isn't that what counts? Watch how she responds to that. Because a quality woman will respect your boundary. Someone who isn't right for you will keep pushing because they're more interested in control than connection. Here's the reality most men avoid. Some mystery creates attraction. Full transparency often creates comfort. And comfort? It can gradually reduce desire. I'm not saying you should be secretive or dishonest. I'm saying you should be selective. There's a massive difference. Selectivity shows self-respect. It shows you value yourself enough to maintain appropriate boundaries. And women are deeply attracted to men who respect themselves. Secret number 3, never fully disclose your financial situation. And this one? This damages more men than you'd think. Many people naturally evaluate financial compatibility in relationships. That's not gold digging. That's practical. Throughout human history, financial stability has been important for building a life together. But here's where men mess this up. The moment you tell her exactly how much you make, you hand over control of how she perceives your value. If you tell her you make little, she may start seeing you as limited, as someone without ambition. Even if you're building something great, even if you're on an upward trajectory, that number can plant a seed of doubt. If you tell her you make a lot, her expectations might rise. Suddenly, she's measuring your worth by your wallet. And trust me, that's a losing game for everyone involved. So what's the solution? You focus on direction, not numbers. You focus on competence, not salary. You focus on your vision, not your current bank balance. When she asks, what do you do? Or hints at how much do you make? And she might ask directly or indirectly, you redirect to your mission. You say, I'm building something I believe in, or I'm at a point where I'm focused on growth, not just income. That shows ambition. That shows you're forward thinking. That shows you're not defined by a paycheck. And here's the deeper truth. A quality woman doesn't need to know your exact figures early on. She needs to feel that you're competent, that you're disciplined with money, that you're building towards something. That feeling is created through your behavior, not your bank statement. Look at successful people throughout history. They didn't lead with their wealth. They led with their vision, their presence, their competence. And people were drawn to that. Because attraction isn't just logical, it's emotional. And emotions respond to strength, vision, and controlled confidence, not transparent vulnerability about finances too early. Here's a question. If a successful person announced to everyone exactly how much wealth they had, how long before others started making judgments? The same principle applies to you. When you expose your full financial situation too early, you make yourself vulnerable to premature judgment. Now, I'm not saying you should mislead anyone. I'm saying you should protect your privacy until the relationship has matured. There's a difference between being dishonest and being discreet. Discretion is wisdom, and wisdom is attractive. So remember, money is a tool, not your identity. Show her you manage resources well. Show her you're building towards something meaningful. But don't reduce yourself to a number, because the moment you do, that becomes a focal point instead of who you are as a complete person. Secret number 4, never expose your deepest fears. Every man has fears. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of inadequacy, fear of losing everything he's worked for. That's human. That's normal. But here's what you need to understand. Once you express those fears to her prematurely, something changes that you can't easily reverse. She might comfort you in the moment. She might say, I understand. It's okay to be scared. But in her subconscious, a seed of doubt can get planted. And later, when life gets hard, and it will, she might remember that moment. She might remember your fear. And instead of seeing a man she can lean on, she might see vulnerability without the context of your strength. Look, attraction isn't always fair or logical, it's emotional. And on an emotional level, most people are drawn to partners who can stay relatively calm under pressure. Partners who can face uncertainty without crumbling. Partners who can hold stability when things around them feel chaotic. Now here's where this gets important. I'm not saying you should be emotionless. I'm not saying you should pretend everything's fine when it's not. I'm saying you need to process your deepest fears with the right people first. A trusted male friend, a mentor, a journal, a counselor. Not primarily with the woman you're building a life with, at least not until you've already processed them. Why? Because she's not your therapist. She's your partner, and partners need to feel some sense of emotional safety with each other. When you constantly unload your unprocessed fears on her, you're essentially asking her to be your emotional caretaker. And attraction can fade when one person becomes the other's emotional parent. Think about leaders throughout history. You think they never felt fear before major challenges? Of course they did, but they processed that fear privately first. They prepared mentally, they steeled themselves emotionally, and then they showed their people and their partners courage, not fake courage, real courage that comes from facing fear and moving forward anyway. Here's what most men don't realize. Your composed response in the face of fear can be more reassuring than any words you could say. When life gets hard and she's looking to you for stability, what she needs is not to hear your doubts. What she needs is to see your composure, your quiet strength, your determination to figure it out. And here's the beautiful part. When you handle fear this way, when you process it constructively first and show up with composure, you actually become more capable of being a good partner because you're not drowning in your own anxiety. You're grounded. You're clear. You're able to lead and support. So next time fear grips you, and it will, don't immediately reach for your phone to text her about it. Don't call her seeking reassurance first. Sit with it. Write about it. Think it through. Talk to a mentor or counselor. Face it constructively. And then, when you've processed it, when you've turned that fear into wisdom, that's when you can share the lesson you learned, not just the panic you felt. Remember, she doesn't need to see you shake. She needs to see you stand, even when you're scared. And finally, secret number 5. Don't focus conversations on how previous relationships ended badly. This one's subtle, but it's critical. Men sometimes think that sharing past hurts creates sympathy, bonding, understanding. You think, if I tell her how my previous relationship ended, she'll see I've been hurt and she'll treat me better. But that's not how it typically works. That's not how most people respond. The moment you say, my ex treated me poorly, or women have hurt me in the past, her mind might start calculating, and not in the way you'd hope. Instead of thinking, I should treat him better, she might wonder, why didn't that relationship work? What was his role in it? It's not necessarily fair, but it's real. Most people are drawn to partners who demonstrate that they've learned and grown from past relationships, not that they're still wounded by them. But here's the deeper issue. When you focus on past hurts, you keep those wounds alive. You carry them into your present. You make yourself a victim instead of someone who overcame challenges. And most people aren't attracted to victims. They're attracted to people who overcome, who learn, who rise stronger from adversity. Look, I understand the impulse. You've been hurt. You want her to know so she understands your walls, your hesitations, your trust issues. But brother, that's your work to do. That's your responsibility to heal, not primarily hers to fix. Great leaders throughout history faced betrayal constantly, friends turning away, allies becoming distant, but they didn't constantly talk about those hurts. They processed them privately, learned from them, and moved forward stronger. That's what made them respected. That's what made them powerful. So what do you do instead? You speak of lessons, not wounds. If she asks about your past, you say something like, I've had relationships that didn't work out. I learned what I value, what I won't tolerate, and what kind of partner I want to be. That's strong, that's mature, that shows growth without victimhood. And here's the key. Most people don't want to feel like they're competing with ghosts from your past. They want to feel you've processed those chapters and you're fully present with them now. When you keep talking about past hurts, those old relationships stay alive in your current one. And that creates distance, not intimacy. So here's your principle. Work through your past constructively and privately. Leave it processed. Show her the man who emerged from the challenges, not the man still bleeding from old wounds. Now, let's bring this all together. You've just learned 5 things to be thoughtful about sharing with women. Not because you're being dishonest, but because you're being wise. You're protecting your value, maintaining healthy mystery, and demonstrating emotional maturity. Here's what most men don't understand. Attraction isn't built purely on total transparency from day one. It's built on demonstrated strength, appropriate mystery, and self-mastery. When you overshare, when you confess every insecurity, every past relationship detail, every financial detail, every fear, every past hurt, you're not necessarily building intimacy. You might be eliminating the very tension and respect that creates lasting desire. People respect those who know what to reveal and when to reveal it. They respect people who have worked on themselves privately and show up powerfully in relationships. They respect people who understand that thoughtful discretion in the right moments can be more powerful than premature confession. And look, this isn't about playing games. This isn't about being cold or distant. It's about understanding that your value as a man comes from your internal strength, not from constant external validation. When you constantly need her approval, when you need her to know everything immediately, when you need her reassurance for every doubt, you're operating from insecurity. But when you're grounded in yourself, when you know your worth regardless of what you share, that's when you become truly attractive. So ask yourself right now, am I the kind of partner someone can lean on, or am I leaning too heavily too soon? Am I demonstrating stability, or am I making them responsible for my emotional processing? Am I showing up as my best self, or am I using them as my therapist? The answer to those questions determines a lot, because at the end of the day, most people are drawn to partners who make them feel safe, intrigued, and inspired, not partners who make them feel like emotional caretakers from the beginning. Here's my challenge to you. Start implementing this thoughtfully today. The next time you feel the urge to confess an insecurity, pause. Process it constructively first. The next time she asks about your past, redirect with confidence and wisdom. The next time you're tempted to talk about money too specifically, focus on vision instead. The next time fear grips you, work through it privately first and show her your courage and resilience. And the next time you want to discuss past relationship pain, speak only of the lessons you learned. Do this consistently and watch what happens. Watch how respect grows. Watch how attraction can intensify. Watch how she starts seeing you not as just another guy, but as someone who has done the inner work. Because here's the truth. Thoughtful discretion is powerful. Appropriate mystery is magnetic. Self-mastery is deeply attractive. And the man who understands this, he doesn't chase validation from women. He attracts quality people naturally because he's built something inside himself that's rare and valuable. So subscribe to this channel right now if you want more of this. More uncomfortable truths, more practical wisdom, more tools to become the man you're capable of being. Because I'm not here to make you comfortable. I'm here to help you grow. Come back next time ready to develop yourself even further. And until then, remember, work on yourself consistently, maintain appropriate boundaries, and carry yourself with dignity. The world and the women in it will respect you more for it. Now get out there and become the man you know you can be.